Hi guys and welcome to the Hearthstone future. The future is now, it's here. Release the Kraken. That's the new thing, guys. So what am I talking about? There is a news on the Hearthstone page and it's called a new way to play. So a new way to play at the moment is the announcement of a rotation. The rotation of Hearthstone. And there's a lot of explanation about rotation, but basically rotation is a new format, something that will use a select amount of sets. So some of the sets will not be playable, and some of the sets will be playable in the new format. The format is called Standard, and the sets that are not playable is Naxx and GVG. And you might ask yourself, Naxx is out? Yep, it's well, it's not out yet, but with the new format, you will not be able to play Naxxramas cards. And well, that's the thing. Naxxramas and GVG, they had a lot of cards. They still have a lot of cards that we play at the moment at the most powerful decks. So let's maybe look at the list of the cards that actually are rotating out, because you might be thinking, hey Naxx, what do I even play Naxxramas or from GVG? Oh, GVG, well, Dr. Boom, yeah, that's a big one, but there's a lot of cards you're not aware of at the moment. So I got a list for you of those cards from both sets. First, let's start with Naxxramas. The first card to rotate out is Web Spinner. Web Spinner, you might think, hey, Web Spinner is not that popular. Hunter is not great at the moment, but the fact that new Hunters will not play Web Spinner is important, and a mid-range Hunter will not have it. Same as Web Spinner is Duplicate, a card that you've seen from time to time, and in standard format, mages will have to think about using effigy maybe and other secrets. Well, the mage has a lot of secrets, but duplicate, you know, the duplicate will not be a possibility in standard. Avenge is out for paladins. Mystery's Challenger might still be the thing in the standard format, but Avenge is not one of the secrets that will be there for them. So you will not have to be afraid of a +3/+2 buff suddenly happening. Then we have Dark Cultist. So that's a hit for the Priest. Priest has been using Dark Cultist for a long time, and it was a great card, but there are still options. It's not that bad. Voidcaller, though, for Warlock, I think that's a big card, because now Zoo, the Demon Zoo, might not be valid anymore without Voidcaller. And actually Mal'Ganis is rotating out as well. So that's a big hit. And for the Demon Handlock, well, demons will have to find a different way back into the metagame. Voidcaller is out. Then we have Death's Bite. Death's Bite, like, can you imagine Warrior without Death's Bite? Before Death's Bite, Warriors were like, we need that weapon. On turn 4, we need something. Then they got Death's Bite and they were happy for the longest time. Not anymore. They will have to find something else. Maybe Gorhol is back. Maybe other weapons. We'll see. Zombie Chow is out. Zombie Chow. So Control will have trouble versus aggro suddenly. Zombie Chow was a great card, a great mid-range card as well to start things off and get early advantage. But not anymore. Haunted Creeper. So that's a hit for Zoo decks, I believe, and all those like small token decks, Hunters as well. Haunted Creeper was always great. It's out. No problem with the spiders. If you didn't like the spiders, great. It's out. Mad Scientist. I'm glad to see that being out. Mad Scientist has been a plague upon the metagame, I feel, because in some decks he was so good. With Mage, specifically, just bringing back the secrets for 3 mana, it was too powerful. I'm happy that it's out, because right now Blizzard can maybe create a secret for 5 mana, because there is no way to get Mad Scientist in the standard form at least, and that would be so crazy and wild in the everything is allowed format, where Mad Scientist with secret for 5 might be so good. Then we have Nerubian Egg, so that's another hit for the Zoo deck. No Haunted Creeper, no Egg, and no Voidcaller. How will Zoo look after those changes? Unstable Ghoul. So again, like a control card. We don't have Zombie Chow, we don't have Ghoul. What else do we have? Deathlord is coming out of the metagame. So this is a hit for maybe, again, control decks, and the Priest specifically was using the card for some time. Then we have Shade of Naxxramas. I don't think it really hits the Druids. Like, obviously Druid was the class that was using Shade of Naxxramas, but Druid is like, yeah, whatever, I have other cards, and Shade wasn't that key. Like, I've seen lists that people play only one Shade. Right now with Aspirant and with Wild Growths, Druid can play other 3-drops or more 4-drops. Then there's Lothab. That's a very important card outside of the metagame, because suddenly Lothab will not lock your spells. So all the decks that had trouble with Lothab just locking their combos and everything, they will not have to worry about Lothab. Lothab is not a card to snowball as well, where you just play the minions and then with Lothar you lock removals. Lothar was really fun to play, an interesting card concept, but I'm happy that it's out for now. And then the Sludge Belcher, and that hurts. That really hurts. That's another card, anti-aggro, that is out of the metagame. So I really hope that the new set brings those cards, anti-aggro. Reno Jackson, you're our only hope. Hopefully not. So that's Naxxramas. Naxxramas is out. And then GVG. Let's quickly look at the GVG cards, the important ones that matter. First one is the Flame Cannon for mages. The Tempo Mage, I'm so sorry. He also loses Unstable Portal. That's another card that Mage loses. That was pretty good for the Tempo Mage. So Tempo Mage will still be alive. There's still the Flame Waker, but those cards surely help, hurt the Mage. Then we have mechs. Like, all the mechs are gone. So before we go into the important mechs, basically Mech Mage, it was nice knowing you or hating you, whatever. I liked it, but it's gone from the standard metagame. You can still play it in Wild, but not in standard. Echo of Medivh. So I'm quite sad seeing Echo go. I think we didn't have enough of Echo decks. They were fun, but Echo of Medivh has a cool mechanic. We haven't seen much of it. I think we haven't seen enough. I would like to have Echo still in the metagame, but well, it's out, so maybe we'll get something different. Then Shielded Minibot. So, well, Mr. Challenger, that's something for you. You're losing the Shielded Minibot. Come at me, bro. Then we have the Coghammer and Master for Battle and Quartermaster. So Paladin is losing a lot of stuff. So Quartermaster rotated out from the metagame when Mistress Challenger came out. So I'm not that concerned about that guy. But the fact that there is no Master for Battle, no Coghammer, and no Shielded Minibot will change the early game. And no Avenge will change the game for Mistress Paladin deck. I think Mistress Challenger deck will still be available. It will be a playable deck, a strong deck, obviously. But the fact that it's losing Sludge Belcher and those small cards, it might hurt the deck. It will not be that powerful in Standard, but it will be alive in Standard for at least one more year. Because in a year, TGT is out, and Blackrock, and basically that year. All right, the next card is Valence and the Shrinkmeister. So Valence Chosen and Shrinkmeister, that's another hit for the Priest. The current Priest, we know the Control Priest with Deathlord's Valence, and the Dark Cultist will take that hit. We'll have to kind of change a bit again and then find a new build. But I'm sure like people like Zetlot will find a new build, especially with the really cool new card, which is the Museum Curator. Then we have Light Bomb. Oh, the Priest. Well, Light Bomb was always the card that was kind of annoying me in a way that you have to... It's a bit better than Brawl, I feel, but 6 mana, that AoE is not available to Priest anymore. They do have the Okanai and the Circle of Healing, though. Now, Oil is gone. Well, that's kind of weird, right? Because Oil Rogue was that only build for Rogue. Gadget-san tried to come back in the latest meta game, and people tried building a different Rogue. There was a Raptor Rogue for a moment, but it never was good, or wasn't good enough. But now without Oil, we are forcing a new Rogue archetype, and Rogue didn't get anything lately, so maybe in the new expansion, Rogue will get something good. Then we have Crackle. Well, Shaman, Aggro Shaman will still be really good, so I'm not worried about that one. A Crackle, I think, is a loss, but it's not that significant for Shaman. It's important, though, that Crackle is not longer in the rotation. Then we have Dark Bomb for Dark Bomb, Implosion, and Mulganis for Warlock. So first, I mentioned Demon Warlock. I think it's kind of gone with Voidcaller and Mal'Ganis out, because Mal'Ganis was one of the cards that was important, and Implosion as well. So without those cards, Demons kind of fade away back to the Void, to the Twisting Nether, and we'll have to find a new zoo with, more small minions. And I would be thinking, hey, maybe this is the time for a Hobgoblin deck to shine. But Hobgoblin is another card that actually rotates out as well, so no Hobgoblin in Standard. This means that we'll have to find a new build for Zoo. Handlock is still good for now, without GVG and without Naxxramas. Dark Bomb is important card. It's an important card, but Handlock was functioning without Dark Bomb before, and it was good. Then we have Shield Maiden. So another hit for the Control Warrior, it loses Death Spite and Shield Maiden, but I think Control Warrior is still really strong, especially with True Heart, so that's fine. If you are building the Control Warrior and you thought like, hey, I'm gonna play Control Warrior this year exclusively, you're still in a good shape. Then we have Mystic Chasm. Chasm Mystic basically is our only tool. Well, we have Flare and Hunter, but Chasm Mystic was this card to deal with those pesky secrets. And now without Chasm Mystic, people will feel well, more comfy to play those secrets. So maybe, hopefully, we'll get something like Chasm Mystic to counter the secret decks like Freeze Mage, because I don't feel Freeze Mage lost that much from the current build. And there is Lothep gone and Chasm Mystic gone. So hey, Freeze Mage fans, that might be your day. We are losing Shredder and Healbot. A moment of silence for Shredder. It was a really good card. I loved it. I sometimes hated it, or rather hated the Angry Chicken that I got from Shredder, but it was super fun to play. And now, without Shredder, we'll have the 4 mana slot available for whatever we want to play. And I think that's cool. Shredder was good at the time. I'm fine playing without Shredder in Standard. And obviously, if I feel like, hey, I really have to play Shredder in my decks, I can always go to Wild and play some Wild decks with the Shredder, which will be pretty wild with the new sets coming and more creatures. And Healbot, that is a bit unnerving. I've seen on Twitter a lot of aggro players already super happy about those changes. Green Sheep, Chucky tweeting at the fact that, hey, no Healbot, no Zombie Chow, no Deathlord, no Belcher. As I said, Reno Jackson might not be enough to stop those aggros, free aggro lineups, so I'm a bit scared there, but I believe in Blizzard. I'm sure we're going to get something in the new expansion that will stop the aggro players from dominating the metagame, because we want, I don't know what we really want, but I think we want a healthy metagame when you can play everything and you're not forced to play Sunwalkers. There is one last card on my list, which is Dr. Boom. Last but not least, yeah. Well, Dr. Boom was great. Was a lot of fun with playing Dr. Boom, and people also didn't like the card. So I'm okay with not having Dr. Boom, especially because Light Bomb is out as well, and Light Bomb was one of the tools to deal with Dr. Boom. So Dr. Boom gone from the metagame. I think that's fine. I'm happy to play different 7-drops if I need them. So this is the list of the cards that's out of the standard format. Blizzard also mentioned something really important, guys. That's really important for you. Basic set is getting rebalanced. What does it mean? Basic set rebalanced. So this means, I think, changes to the cards. Nerfs, buffs. I would say nerfs more probably. I don't know how many cards are changed. Is it 1, is it 2, is it 5? But looking at those changes, Druid, super strong. Like, Druid didn't get touched by Standard. Like, I can play the same Druid list I'm playing right now in Standard and in Wild. The only difference is I will not play Shade of Naxxramas, a one-off. I will play 29 same cards. So, I would expect some changes to Druid cards. I would expect that Handlock hasn't been touched, Freeze Mage, so maybe some cards from those decks will be actually nerfed. We'll see. But the important part is that classic cards that have been changed during the review can be disenchanted at their full dust value for a limited time. So if you are, well, hoarding classic cards, or if you feel like, hey, I really don't want to play those cards anymore from the classic set because this deck will not play in Standard, wait for the announcement to be fully announced, for the review, so that you actually know. Maybe you will get double dust from a card you never expected to get nerfed. So keep your classic cards intact for now and wait for more information on that topic. There's also another cool news that we are getting more deck slots. Finally, 18 deck slots. It's a lot. We can scroll them down. So finally, I will not have to delete my decks. That's actually pretty cool as well. And the last part will be about esports. So it's a very important part because a lot of people are still confused. It's in the news if you actually go down in the FAQ section. So for esports, Standard is the official format. So this means most of the tournaments, or at least the HCT, which is the Hearthstone Championship Tour, Winter Championship will probably still happen in the current format because it's just got announced. We'll have some time to prepare. And I believe it's happening this month. So the Spring Championship which will be in 2.5 to 3 months. I believe, will be in Standard, and then the last call, the Summer Championship, the last call tournament, and the World Championships or BlizzCon, whatever we have at the end of the Hearthstone Championship Tour, will happen in Standard. So a lot of people are afraid that Wild format will actually be like casual, like nobody will play Wild. Well, I'll be playing Wild. For example, if you're a player that wants to, it's not really into playing versus super top pro players, but you feel like you can get Legend, I think Wild will be for you. Where in Wild, there, like, most of the pro players will be playing Standard, but some, like, okay, Wild will be easier, I feel. Like, getting to Legend in Wild will be easier, but you still get the same rewards as a player who wants the chest, you want the Legend card back, you can get that in Wild. Wild will be, well, very different from Standard. In the beginning, the difference is not that great. It's Naxxramas and GVG. Well, it's already, I think, big with those cards that I mentioned. But the more into the future, Wild will be really, well, wild because of all the new sets and cards. And Standard will just be really composed of the just a couple of latest sets and the Expert and Standard sets. So I think Wild will be easier in the beginning. That's why there will be more interest into that format, where Standard will be mostly for people who are, well, tryhards, kind of like people who really want to get the points, or people who just enjoy the format. They have new cards. So I feel like even if you're a newer player in the game, you still want to maybe try Wild, get some of the key cards, craft them, because you don't have to craft all the sets. Like if you, for example, want a specific deck, you might actually go and play it in Wild. Depends on the metagames. And you can also swap, like depends on what you want to play on a specific day. You can swap the decks you want. You want to play Mysteries Challenger Paladin like you play right now, you can go to Wild and play it. You want to play something different in a different metagame, but be more limited with the card pool, play Standard. I think that overall the news is great and super refreshing for everyone. There will be new formats, new stuff, more deck slots, and I'm really excited to start building decks as well. I'm just looking at the Grand Tournament and thinking, hey, what cards from the Grand Tournament I'm going to use now? What I'm going to play on turn 4 where I don't have Shredder? What turn 5 about Belcher? How do I build decks against aggro? So it probably might be too early before the new set is announced or released and the cards are spoiled, but you have to think about those things, right? And probably do not disenchant any cards for now. Just hold your horses, wait for the final release information. What is nerfed? What is going to be released? Maybe you, I don't know, disenchant Magnator Alpha, and that's actually a playable card in the new world of Hearthstone. Blizzard just released a Kraken, and that will be it from me. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If you like what you see, please subscribe for the channel, give me a thumbs up and share it so that people know what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. If you have any questions, let me know. Ask me in the comments. I'll try to reply to you as well. What is rotation? Is it good for the game? Is it bad for the game? Again, thank you so much for watching, and see you guys in the next video.